That wasn't actually live. It was just connected to the stream.
Oh, okay. Now is
So
it live?
it should be live-ish. Let's see. Let's see. Hello, people. Test, test, test. One, two. It should be in a second here. Maybe there's some
There it
delay.
is.
Actually live. It was
I see
just
it.
connected to the stream.
There
Okay.
we go. Your
Hey,
audio on the live stream is super
live-ish.
echoey.
Let's see. Is
Your
it
audio on the
is it still echoey?
uh
Maybe there's some
there it
delay.
is.
Actually live. It was
I
just
see it.
connected to the stream. What is
That's it's probably pulling it in from your laptop mic.
mic audio?
Stay with us, folks.
It's it's not. What the heck?
Well, at least as long as you're recording your good mic for the stream or for the actual pushing it out to the RSS feed, I think
No,
like
we want
it's
people to be
fine.
able to hear it fine.
Yeah. Sounds like your computer audio, not the mic. Thank you, Dave Crandall.
Computer
Well,
audio.
I'll
I don't have computer. Yeah, I don't have computer audio being pumped in here. So
on OBS.
yeah.
Try is your loopback interface pulling in the right mic? Obviously it is, because I hear your on Zoom I hear your good mic, but on the stream it sounds like
Test. Test. Hey, does that sound fine?
I have to go to the live stream. One sec. On Zoom I hear your good mic, but on the stream it sounds like
Test. 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 Test.
oh.
Hey, what's up? Test.
Okay, don't say anything in real life. I'm watching you on the
Test.
stream.
Hey, does that sound fine?
That sounds fine. Okay, we're good. Let's do it.
Test. Not if there's any audio problems or anything, just shout it out, let us know. I don't know what the issue was. I just turned off the I changed the interface to be default rather than
Oh yeah, a specific one like
yeah.
computer audio.
I
Man,
don't know
this
why.
stuff is hard, especially
OBS
like
is hard.
I've got so many mics. You've got one on my headphones. I got one right here. There's one on my webcam. There's one on my computer, and they always change whenever I do anything. Like the first 2 minutes of any Skype call is just me figuring out what mic we're supposed to be using.
So
way better. Everybody's saying it sounds good.
it says something about the sorry everybody. It says something about the resolution being wonky. I'm gonna pause the audio. I'm gonna pause the stream really quick. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'm gonna pause the stream. Sorry, people. I'll be right back. Bring it back up. Video display capture. Test. This was yeah. This is tough. Center to screen. There we go. Test. Man, it still says it's 11.
It looks fine. I'm watching it. It looks totally fine.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, let's just go with it.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. All right. Ready to clap?
Yes.
By the way, thank you everyone for tuning in. You're going to see us record it live, which we always have like heavy editing after this. So there'll be lots of like, oh, start over and whatnot. But that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, this will
So-
be a lot of behind the scenes.
Let's clap. 3, 2, 1.
Hey.
Close enough.
Good.
Welcome to Syntax. This is the podcast with the tastiest web development treats out there. Today is show 200. Wait, I got that.
That wasn't even
That's
a real laugh. That was a soundboard laugh.
Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. This is kind of exciting. We are doing a live stream of our Syntax right now at syntax.com/200.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know that if you're listening to this live. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for making 200 episodes happen. My name is Wes Boss. With me, as always, is Scott Tolinski.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We got a rage or snowstorm going on right now.
We
So
got
I'm
a
kinda
rage or
excited about that.
snowstorm going on over here too. Double snowstorm.
Double snowstorm all the way. So the way that today works is that we are going to be answering a bunch of listener questions. We've taken in a bunch of questions from you. We use this thing called Pigeonhole, which is pretty cool. They gave us access to their software when we did both of our live events, and then they also said like, hey, like, why don't you try this for your 200th episode? And we did, and it's awesome. So if you want to submit a question while you're listening to this on the live stream, go to syntax.fm/200 and you can ask your question there and you can vote on your favorite ones. Today we are sponsored by two awesome companies. First one is Log Rocket, which is going to track all of your front end events and give you sort of a treasure trail to what went wrong. And Sanity, which is a structured content CMS. It is your headless CMS to your headful front end. So
yeah, those are the kind of things we can edit out typically.
Except for you, how many people are watching it right now? 122.
Yeah,
122 are enjoying it live. All right, so I guess we'll just kind of go through the questions and talk about that. If you've got any questions you'd like us to answer, anything related to love or life or web development as well, you can ask them. You want to grab the first one there, Scott?
Yeah. So the first one, the question with the most amount of votes here is: we're rolling into 2020. Make some wild and fun predictions about what the next decade will hold for web and the development of it. Some might call that web development, the web and the development of it. So 2020 wild predictions. I might have a different answer if I were to think about this for a little bit longer. Do you have some predictions offhand that you can go with, or do you want me to go?
Well, we talked about this like the last 2 years. We talked about like, what do you hope for the next couple of years? And I think for both of those episodes, I said I think it's going to get easier to do tooling, and I 100% think that we are in a good spot right now with tooling. I haven't written a Webpack all year. Things like Parcel 2 are coming out, which makes it going to be really easy. It's going to be good. So like, that's not the answer, but I'm really excited that has actually gotten really good. I think, and I hope what 2020 will hold is frameworks that will make it really easy for us to build complex applications. So thinking about Keystone has just come out, and that's going to make it really easy. What's the one that Sasha is working on? Vulkan JS. I think that will probably gain some popularity. I think like it's especially once React Suspense come out, that coupled with a lot of these things that people build on top of that, I think it's going to make it really easy and really awesome to build complex apps with these frameworks.
Yeah, I mean that's the trend that we're sort of been seeing. I don't know if that constitutes as a wild prediction though. That constitutes as like kind of a mild prediction. Like, yeah, this stuff's going to continue in the direction that it's been going in, of getting more and more easy for us.
I don't know. Like, this stuff doesn't move that fast, right?
No.
So
no.
I don't know if there's going to be anything that's like, whoa, nobody writes HTML anymore. You know,
that's a pretty wild prediction there, Wes Boss. Yeah. Nobody will write HTML in 2020.
Someone's going to clip that. Nobody writes HTML anymore.
No. Nobody writes CSS sucks. And don't clip that because I like CSS. We should just make a bunch of hot take sound bites. No, no, I mean, largely I feel the same way. We've been seeing a lot of things. Things generally get better and better. I'm really excited for, I'm excited for what the React team will do in 2020 and predictions wise. I don't know. I think there would be some really interesting things happening if once Suspense starts like really making its way. I think we're going to see a bunch of like really interesting patterns around data loading and controlling the mounting and unmounting of components. So none of those are very wild. I agree with like everything. I think there will be something that comes up to be a little bit more of the fills in the space for Rails of JavaScript, whatever we talk about. And you see some of this with Next.js right now. And you see some of it with Gatsby, where these two platforms that have like really grown this year. And neither of these platforms really seem content in like staying where they are. They're both
Yeah.
like, whoa, sorry, everybody. Uh, both of these platforms are like constantly growing and improving. Specifically, if you think about it, like the API routes, and now there's this new, I forget what it's called, SWR, React Hooks, remote. What does it stand for? React Hooks for remote data fetching, stale while revalidate. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't looked into that.
Have you seen this? Yeah, no, this is this is it's a project from Zeit about loading data with suspense, and it can do GraphQL, it can do a bunch of stuff. It's pretty interesting, and it works with suspense. It looks very nice. I haven't gotten to use it yet, but a bunch of people have been sending it to me. Check it out when you get a chance. But I mean, that just goes to show you that like companies like Zeit are doing things like this to make things generally easier and more interesting. I think about like, what are some of the things that Next.js has or doesn't have that like Meteor had? It doesn't have like an account or a
Accounts.
database or
Yeah,
something like that,
that's like,
right?
well, somebody, and I know that people are working on it, and that's Keystone, Vulkan, things like that. But like, oh, Gatsby or Next, please just bake in accounts.
Yeah,
I
that was
need
like
it.
the
Yeah.
best thing about Meteor was that you would just fire it up and you automatically had accounts set up and you didn't have to do anything. So I think that'd be interesting. And, Gatsby's doing a lot of big changes. You see them working in the space with their themes of just adding additional functionality really easy. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what both of those platforms do next year. And I think they're on the, they're on the ticket to do something hot.
One, and a bunch of people in the chat have been saying like IE is gone or dead. It's using WebKit. So like IE is now using WebKit, or Edge is using WebKit as a core, and they have that new confusing swooshy logo.
I love the logo, man.
Like,
I saw Henry
yeah,
Helvetica made the little surfing emoji guy on it, and I was like,
that was pretty
this
cool.
is pretty sweet.
But like, does that mean that like the days of complaining about Edge are over? Like, do we have to start complaining about Safari now,
I'm already
or is
complaining about
is it going to
Safari.
be like easier? Like, is the like, I don't know, because it used to be like, oh, cool, I can't wait to use that in 10 years. Can we start using things now? I don't know, maybe. I think that the feedback cycle for like, here's a new feature, it's implemented, everybody can use it. I think that's going to get a lot shorter
Yeah.
in the next year, now that the officially IE is going to be underground.
And try like custom properties, man. Like everyone can use CSS custom properties and not have to worry about it. I think everybody's going to find out just how darn awesome they are. They're like one of my favorite things in web development is grid and custom properties. Those two really make my life a ton better.
The next question we have here, and we got this question a lot, and we also have been working on a show about it. And is Wix going to steal my job, or is Webflow going to steal my job, or are these site builders like Squarespace? And I know like Webflow is probably a little bit different than all of these that we're lumping them in, but like, are these tools going to totally replace us as web developers? And I think we've got an entire hasty treat. Like, we could talk about this for 20 minutes, I think. And I think if your job is making pamphlet websites where you add content and you drag and drop things into spots, I think it will. Because quite certainly, if I look at this from a client point of view, the client would much rather log in and make the changes themselves. Not all the cases, but in a lot of times they'd rather just do it themselves than have to like book time in 3 weeks on somebody's schedule. So I don't think that that's to be scared of. I think what that's going to do is it's going to free us up from doing that base work, because as tools get better, it's easier to like go ahead and build like a full stack website and server rendered React. And I think we just shift up to stuff that's a little bit more complex. Everybody, the people that are at the top, start working on self-driving cars, and then us regular people who were making like portfolio websites start making like a little bit more complicated web apps that these things can't do.
Totally. Yeah. We're going to see some tools come out that are going to scare you a lot more than Wix will. Like the only thing scary about Wix is that they email me too dang much telling me to, hey, why don't you make a tutorial series on Wix?
Oh,
it's like, I don't really think my audience would appreciate that, you know?
I should tell you a hilarious story about them. So they like Wix is doing some serverless stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I've seen
I that's actually kind of cool. But like
totally.
they emailed me and said like, "Hey, will you tweet out anybody building a site with
Yeah.
Wix?" And then they said, "We expect the responses to be negative, and then we'll swoop in and give
Oh my god.
replies with." I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna tweet anybody building a site with Wix." Like they were like wanted to pay me just to tweet it and cause ruckus so
Oh
they
my
could swoop
god.
in and save the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know. I get emails like that, and I just say, "Hey, I don't
No
think my audience
way.
would appreciate that." And they'd say, "Well, actually, we do think your audience. Well, I know you think that, but I don't think that." But so yeah, I don't know. You just wait till you see some of these tools coming out. I think have you checked out my? I think it's modules. I'm gonna. I think it's just supposed to be modules. Let me modules app. Okay, the spelling, I'll post this in the chat, is modulz.app. This is going in the live stream
This
chat.
sounds like a toy that my daughter would buy.
Yes. Here.
Daddy, can we get some more modules?
That's-
What is
you
this?
seen this? So this is basically, you could think of this app as Figma that spits out React code, but allows you to edit React code and have it edit the components. Now there's some plugins and stuff working with Figma or Sketch that kind of do this to some sort of an extent. And then there's Framer, which sort of erroneously got billed as being that kind of tool, but isn't. And this is really that whole design and develop in I mean, you can see the interface looks just like Figma. So it's sort of like a Figma-like application here that is for creating code. And one of the interesting things about this is I don't think it is React only. I could be totally wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they're
No, so
making.
there's a Vue logo there.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there's the view logo and the mobile view that was hidden. So it's pretty interesting. Allows you to design and develop and deploy your design system without writing code. Uh, I've been in chats with these guys for a little bit, so I'm gonna try to get access at some point. They didn't want to give it to me just yet. Obviously, I don't think they want me to see it when it's not ready. So, yeah, I think the tools like this are to me a little bit more interesting than Wix because it's going to allow people who are better than you at designing to design applications that actually work. So I think that's a major concern more than like a default crappy template from Wix or something.
All right, you want to grab another question? You
Grab
don't
and
have to
then
do, yeah, whatever one you like.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. So that one has been. Oh, you get to mark them as answered. I don't get to mark them as answered. I was like, how do I answer these?
Oh yeah, I'm the admin. You have admin access to Pigeonhole. You just have to log in.
No. Well, too late for that. It's too late for that. This is a fun question here because this is a special 200 episode question. The question is, what does the future look like for syntax?
Grim.
No. Okay, what does the future look like for syntax? To be entirely honest, it probably looks very similar to what the present looks like, where we're going to continue to release, the same episode schedule that we're releasing, where we have a hasty treat, a little 20-minute, 30-minute episode, and then a tasty treat, a longer episode. And, I think one thing that it's as you do these episodes, it's not necessarily easy to lose sight of, but the end goal of what we're trying to do here is trying to make everything worthwhile, educational, and like full of like value. I want to say, and not value
Tasty.
like monetary. Yeah, tasty. We want to be providing like something that you can grow and use in your career, and not just something that's filler to listen to while you're sitting on the train. Like we want that time to really grow your skill. So I mean, what does the future of syntax looks like? I think the future of syntax, we're going to continue to get better at the format and the formula of what we've been doing, but I can't really see it changing too much. We might have some tasty morsels coming down the pipeline, some things that are not like guaranteed yet. So we're sort of sitting on some stuff. We're going to be doing a live episode next year, next March, in person on stage at Reactathon. But other than that, I don't really know too much. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly think like we just keep doing what we're doing. I think we can try new things every now and then. Like I was trying to get a Google recruiter to come on the podcast because he like emailed me and said, "Hey, you want a job?" I was like, "No, but can you come on the podcast and tell us how to get a job at Google?"
We could
And he
tell
didn't
them they
reply.
could be anonymous, and we could do a voice transformer,
Yeah, like,
transform their voice.
well, we have to do whiteboarding interviews, just like a black shadow over that. Um, honestly, I think all of that is important to me about this podcast is that those who are tuning in are actually taking away, are actually learning things.
Yeah.
And also that we continue to have fun and enjoy recording it because takes a lot of time every week to do this type of thing, to prep it and all that. And if it becomes like a slog to do it, then you can hear that in people's voices when they're on a podcast. And sometimes they skip a week and things like that. And then it just becomes a bit of it feels like homework, right?
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that this podcast keeps being fun and people keep learning things from it. Like I was telling Caitlin the other day, I was like, I'm so glad, like we sold our sponsors for all of next year already. And I was like, I'm so glad that we are done that so that we don't have to try and like beat our numbers every single time.
Yeah.
Because you know those you watch people on YouTube and they have to like resort to clickbait and coming out with these like awful videos where they're just sort of grasping at straws to keep the viewership up.
Or to
And
hit some sort of like arbitrary
yeah,
thing that they need for either monetization or whatever, but that you become beholden to these things that maybe aren't the reasons why you started doing it in the first place.
totally. And I want to like keep true to that. Where the reason we started this podcast is because we didn't think that there was very good podcasts out there that actually taught you stuff. Like this isn't just Scott and I sitting around shooting the shoot. We're actually trying to explain stuff to you, and that you walk away going, "Oh, I have a better idea of how CSS variables work," or I know I kind of understand how data goes from the back end to the front end now.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because we both have been teaching web development for so long now that like that is the first and foremost the goal of this thing. So that's what I see the future looking like. And again, it's a blast to do. I have a great time doing it, and that's gonna hopefully continue into the next year. One thing that's not fun, however, though, is log rock. No, log rocket's super
Log
fun.
Rocket is fun.
No, cut that out, Adam. One thing that's not fun is solving bugs because let me tell you, you're already stressed out that you have a bug, your code doesn't work, things are a huge bummer. So, what do? Well, you fire up LogRocket, and LogRocket is the bug finding platform that gives you a session replay. I don't know how many people watch sports here, but in sports, they kick the ball, they throw the ball, and something happens, right? And then if they don't get it right, they check the replay and they say, "Oh, look at that replay." And
that's a good analogy.
it's a good analogy, man. And so with LogRocket, you can check that replay and you can see the network tab, you can see the error states, you can see all that good stuff, all those things that happen when the user clicked the bug as if it were happening right in front of you, allowing you to solve the bugs that you come up in your code all the time. Let me tell you, this kind of tool is absolutely invaluable when you're trying to figure out what the heck happened and you don't want to have to call up your user or email them and say, "What did you do? What did you click on? What browser were you using?" Any of that stuff. So check it out at logrocket.com. And sorry, do they have a forward slash?
Where Scott has to always look up the URL
every
and then
time.
We have to edit it out.
I don't have Notion open. Hey, what? Yes, every single time.
logrocket.com/syntax for 14 days for free.
See, the problem is I mix up which ones have a coupon and which ones have a URL. So can you say that again, Wes? And then we'll just.
It's logrocket.com/syntax. And with that, you get 14 days for free. Try it out. Thanks so much to LogRocket for sponsoring.
Thank you, LogRocket. Yeah. And sorry for saying that you're not fun. You're very fun. I promise.
Next question we have here is, what emerging technology advancement most excites you in the next 5 to 10 years? I thought this is sort of unrelated to web. Well, it might be related to web development. And I very much have two things that I'm really excited about. First one is electric everything, electric cars.
Yep.
I really hope all cars are electric, and I don't know how long it's going to take. It's certainly going slower than I had hoped. But electric cars, electric leaf blowers, things like that. Like it's fall in
Dude,
Canada
my
right now, and
electric leaf blower is the greatest thing on the planet.
they're so good. And like we've got everybody with these old like big like bus on the end of a hose blowing. They're so loud, so obnoxious. I would love to get rid of all gas powered things just because they're loud and bad for the environment. So that's one thing I'm excited about. And the other thing I'm excited about is fast internet everywhere, because of what that means for remote work, because of what that means for access to information for everybody. Like,
Just think about how
so
much JavaScript you can download with a fast internet
you could,
connection.
I just want bundles to be huge. I want to be able to ship every framework and not have to worry about it. No, but like,
Ship all of them at once, yeah.
I think like as a web developer, one of the privileges we'll have is being able to live ideally wherever we want because of remote work and because of the internet, right? And one thing that is severely stopping a lot of people right now is access to good internet. And whether it's Google or Elon Musk's satellites that float in the air, or 5G, which is going to be rolled out. I don't know if 5G will be the answer for remote areas, because 5G is super fast, but it doesn't
Small
go very
range.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like the lower frequency, like you have is like not 800 megahertz. That's why your radio is on like 870. The farther it can go, the higher the frequency, the more bandwidth you can do, but the slower it can, or sorry, the smaller the range is. So just, I don't know, some sort of fast internet, whether that's going to be 5G, 4G, satellites. I'm just really excited for that, for everybody to have access.
I'm excited for augmented reality in a way that I think other people might not be as excited about it. And I mean, and people are excited about augmented reality, but like, think about this. Like, we're so tethered to displays, right? I have this ultra wide display on my desk. It takes up a ton of space. But what happens if, like, all of a sudden I have infinite displays built into my glasses, and I look this way and there's a display, and this way and there's an ultra wide display, and this way there's a display with all my stuff on it, and like nothing on my desk? That would be really cool. Like, man, who knows when that kind of tech would be available, but like, just think about the
Yeah.
possibilities you have when you're not tethered to hard device screens to look at, and you can see things anywhere you look. I don't know. Augmented reality to me is one of those things
Yeah.
that really fascinates me.
It's, we even on our car, we have the heads up display. Have you ever driven a car with one of those?
No, but it's like the coolest thing ever looking.
That's amazing.
It's like
It
futuristic
just, like,
to
projects
me.
on the windshield, and it tells you how fast you're going, and it'll give you the nav directions. I was like, man, like that's like perfect. I always think like augmented reality is some nerd with goggles swooping around, but like that's also augmented reality, is that you're just projecting the speed and information, and I can scroll through my songs on with the steering wheel without having to look away, and that's
Totally.
really cool.
You know what? This I don't ride a motorcycle. In fact, they terrify me. But
Yeah.
I saw one of the coolest AR devices I think I've ever seen was like not a real device, but a like a prototype or a concept of a motorcycle helmet that had like rear view mirrors right here and your speeds and like blind side things. And I'm just thinking, like, this is actually going to change people's experiences in life in general, making things safer or more excellent by putting the information, like you said, where it needs to be in front of us. You can change the songs without having to, look away from the road. I don't know. AR is one of those things that absolutely really fascinates me. So I think that's what I'm most excited about. Okay, let's do another question here. Wow, there's a lot of questions coming in.
70 now.
Yeah. Woot.
Make sure, if you're listening to live stream, go upvote a couple that are near the bottom that you want to see.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, check out the questions, syntax.fm/200. 200. Uh, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is our 200th episode, and we are doing a live stream. You can ask questions here. We most likely will not be getting to them, so maybe just vote on the ones you want to see, or whatever. Check it out. We're doing our best here. Let's check it out. Let me find a question here. Usually we edit this stuff out, so we're used to having that buffer.
The kind of person that tunes into a live stream likes the rawness of this all.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. What do you guys think of I like this one from Ian. What do you think the future of web hosting might look like? Is Netlify and Now going to eat up the world? What should hosting companies do differently? Hosting companies should get off their butts and start doing things like Netlify and Now. One of the things that I've always hated about hosting companies is just how difficult they make literally everything, like setting up an SSL certificate, right? Like I had a host one time and I bought an SSL certificate through them for whatever, $150, whatever they were back when that was a thing. And the process for getting it going was so darn frustrating. And then their jQuery timer crap timed out and it was like not working correctly. And it's just like, why? I just paid $150 for this thing. Why do I have to do all of this other stuff just to install this SSL certificate on my server that's managed by you guys anyways? So I think the services that take the approach of Netlify and Now, and for those of you who have never used those platforms, they basically, you just point your code to it and it takes care of all of this stuff that's annoying to set up, like continuous deployment or, the actual managing of servers, because you can have serverless functions that scale differently and things like that. You can have your server-side stuff not even on the platform, like Netlify has their identity stuff or their functions and all those things that just make it really easy to not have to manage all of your own stuff. So in my opinion, hosting companies need to offer more for what they're doing and not worry about being, I don't know, I don't want to say not worrying about being the cheapest, but like, because Now and Netlify are darn pretty cheap comparatively. I think they just need to innovate. Everybody got too complacent with the HTML and PHP web that we were living in. And these companies like Netlify and Now have really figured out what kind of things people actually want to use. One company that I really like that's kind of in the hosting space, but not hosting specifically, is DNS Simple. Have you ever used DNS Simple?
No, I don't think so.
DNS Simple takes the idea of all that stuff and is like, we're going to be a domain management service, but we're going to add one-click everything. So you want to add a SSL, one-click it, right? And this is outside of Netlify and outside of Now. So like, let's say you were hosting somewhere for a client or something, or even, I want to add Google email, one click. I want to add Cloudflare, one click. It's one click everything for your DNS, and it's really super good. When I always hated like setting up Mailgun and like Mailgun's like, paste this into your DNS, but then you go to your DNS and it's like those options aren't even there, or it requires it to be in a string or whatever.
It's a little bit different. Yeah, you're like, do I include the quotes or not?
Right, and it drives me nuts. And DNS Simple is like, oh, just paste this two things in here, click go, and it's done. So services like that that take the guesswork out of any of that stuff is what hosting companies need to do.
Yeah, I think like anytime there's a new need, there's always a hosting company that will come up and be the hosting company for that specific thing. Like and that's why people are loving things like Netlify Now, because it makes it easy to host things. And I think like we'll see a lot of both of those. We'll see a lot of companies that specialize in things like Now and Netlify and Heroku, and then we'll also see the total opposite, which is just like raw server. And you can go for like a Backblaze or an Amazon or a DigitalOcean, something like that. Or even though like I think DigitalOcean is a good example, because like DigitalOcean is just like raw server space, but they don't approach it in such a way that like good luck like Amazon does. Like
DigitalOcean,
good luck with is they like make it easy, right?
If you want to go for the other end of things where it's like not doing everything for you. But like DigitalOcean has that figured out because they still give you so much.
All right, next question we got here is, Wes, in your Node course, you globally set the font size to 10px. So this is referring to setting 10px on the HTML element with the logic that allows. The reason why you did this is because the mental math is easy. 2 rems is equal to 20 pixels. My question is, and often people will set the base to 62.5% as well, and that brings it down. We answered the difference between that once on the show. I don't forget what it is though. But the question is, why do that? If you really want to calculate to pixels, why not just use pixels at the end of the day? And there's one comment on this thing which says the user can change their browser's font size and all the text will scale accordingly. That's not true anymore. If you use pixels and the user scales their browser, it will scale accordingly. That has been true for like 6 years or so. But like, why do I use that? Because setting a base size does allow you to scale up the entire website without the user having to scale it up. Because if the user scales up your design, everything, the images, the buttons, all of the UI will scale up. And often it's helpful to give your user the ability to just scale up the text and not all of the UI with it. So that's why I think using rems instead of pixels is better. We have an entire show very early on about the differences between that and also how to use rems and ems together, because it's not like rems replaced ems.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a good answer.
We got a visitor there, Scott?
We got a visitor. We got a guest. Hey, come on and say hi. We have
Welcome. Get an earbud.
Get an earbud. Yeah, share the earbud.
You gave her the wrong one. This is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, we gotta do it this way. We gotta do it this way. You're right.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Happy 200.
Thank you. Do you want to introduce who this is, Scott?
This is my wife Courtney, Dr. Tolinski. She is what is today? Today's Labor Day. So
it's Veterans Day. Oh my god.
Oh no, Veterans
Labor Day.
Oh my god.
He doesn't know any days.
I don't know
like
days.
Any holidays.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
It's Remembrance Day here in Canada.
Oh yeah.
But do you is that a holiday for everybody in the States, Veterans Day?
For government workers. Yeah.
Yeah, same with us. Just
Yeah.
government and banks are closed on Remembrance Day, and that's it.
I don't even know when Halloween is, so my holiday knowledge is just awful.
So what do you think about Scott and the podcast? How's he doing?
I think he's doing great. Yeah, I think you guys are getting like the full flavor of who Scott is and what I deal with every day in a nice way.
Is Scott always dancing and bopping around?
Oh my God, always.
Yeah. What did I kick the other
Constantly
day?
moving.
I kicked the air filter or something.
I don't even know. Yeah, that's just another day.
I dented the grill a couple summers ago. I just hurting stuff.
What is Scott's worst habit?
His worst habit. You know what? Right.
We gotta embarrass him.
I think the worst one is that he likes to take his socks off and like stuff them in places. I find you do. You stuff them in the couch and like other places. And now our son is starting to do it. So I don't know if it's just like part of who he is or like what he's watching. But
I think it's the opposite. Landon takes my socks off.
Yeah, he does.
He does. He takes them off now. I don't know if he learned that from me, but he takes them off. I don't like to wear socks. I work from home here. I like to.
Oh, Kayla, come here.
I like to be.
Yeah, I want to meet Kate.
Kayla, I didn't even text her. Hi.
Oh, everyone looks so cute. I need to
No.
Hi.
How's it going? Kayla just brought me sushi.
Oh.
We're
looks
just
good.
we're recording our 200th episode
Cool.
right now. You're live. There's very many hundreds of people watching you. She said it out.
Nice seeing you guys.
She says, "Nice seeing you."
I'm a big fan of Kate. I read her newsletter every week.
Oh, awesome. That's cool. Yeah, we are going to have our wives on a show at some point, and we'll talk about, I don't know, sure what we're going to talk about yet, but embarrassing Scott.
Yeah.
Got lots of stories.
Yeah. No, there's stories. Yeah. I'm always goofing around.
All right, well, pop out. Nice to meet you.
Nice.
Congrats again, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Sammy.
And his name is John C.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for Courtney for popping by. Veterans Day. Man, I apologize for goofing that one up.
All right. You want to grab another question?
Sure. Let's grab another one. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is a fun one. Wes posted a picture of himself in 2005. I posted one of myself from 2006 as well, which is a funny picture. What is it? Where'd that question go? They're moving on me.
Oh, I clicked on active, so it should be at the top now. Sorry.
Okay, that's fun. So Wes, we both posted pictures of ourselves from 2005, 2006. If you could go back in time, what would you say to yourself? I would tell myself to get a single focus rather than focusing on too many things. I was trying to do a lot of things, especially back then. I was trying to do music. I was trying to do video. I was even in those disciplines, I was trying to do too many things. For instance, I was producing videos, but I was doing the editing, the videography, the audio. I was doing everything myself. So not only was I trying to do too much in a very large sense of thing, video, audio, web, whatever, I was also trying to do too many things within those one specific things. Even in web, I was trying to do, I was trying to learn at the same time PHP, whatever, JavaScript, CSS, all at the same time. And I would tell myself to pick one thing, focus on it, work through it, get better at it, improve, and then move on from there before going to the next thing. I think I would still have a really hard time with that, but just some dose of reality to say you're never going to make it doing all of those things, and that makes no sense anyways at that time. So that's what I would tell myself, and I think it would have been... somebody said my mic's off, but I don't think it is. I see the audio pumping through.
Yeah.
Scott's
mic is off.
Huh. I see the audio.
Are your
Test.
Your headphone is in?
Test. Test. Mic's off, but I don't think it is. I see the audio pumping through. You
I hear it.
Yeah, you're hearing my mic, right?
It's I'm hearing the mic is off.
Huh. I see
I'm hearing your echoey one again. There we go. It's back. All right, we're good.
Oh, it's echoey.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's fine. Let's.
I don't know if it's
maybe
fine.
Do what you did last time.
Yeah. Tess, what is going on here? Oh, went to my... What are you doing? Tess. Okay, that fixed it. Hey, I don't know what happened there. Just OBS is a total crapshoot. It
well, you'll have to listen to the actual podcast to
hear
what Scott had said.
Blah. So okay, I don't know when that actually cut off. Did you guys all heard Courtney talk?
Yeah, I think they did.
Okay. So okay. Sorry, everybody. You'll just have to listen, like Wes said, to the real one when it's released. But no, I think. So I guess to go back and just reiterate to those people on the live stream, Adam, you can cut this part out. But really, what I said, the question was, if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself? And I would tell myself to focus on one thing rather than focusing on a billion different things, a billion different disciplines, and trying to figure it out. So, I that's what I would say is, get some dang focus, man. As you can tell, I still struggle with those issues.
Yeah, but honestly, I think a little bit of that is fine, because I have that as well, where I should be working on something, but I'll just goof off on YouTube or post a tweet or like do something totally unrelated. But many of those things have done very well for me. And it was only because I had sort of gone off course and done something. So I think a little bit of that is fine. Obviously it was worked out for you and I, what would I say? I think just like keep doing it, like keep building, building stuff, keep like building audience, like things like that. Like I very much remember when I was like, I need to build an audience. If I want to be able to do the stuff that I'm doing, I very much need an audience of people who will support me and pay for courses and watch videos and like things like that. Because otherwise, without them, I can't do any of this kind of fun stuff that I thought I was doing. So like maybe I should have done that earlier. Maybe I should just like tell myself to just keep building stuff, keep focusing on. Because I also remember just taking weeks off at a time because I was so frustrated, and I didn't really have anybody that I could tell me like, that's normal. This stuff is very hard. It is very weird. So I don't know, just kind of keep going at it, double down on it, because like that early momentum, especially when you're young, like 2005, I don't even know. Like, how old are you? That was what, 15 years ago?
I was in
I was
college.
like 17 years
I would have
old,
been
I
a
think.
sophomore. No, I would have been a freshman in college.
Yeah, I was in grade 8. So like, that's the best time of your life. You got all kinds of time to goof around and stuff like that. So, I think I don't know. I'm pretty happy with what I like the whole course. I did work very hard when I was young, but I just think I just tell myself just double down and keep working hard, because that will pay off huge in the long run.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I would also tell myself to get on Twitter earlier. I wasn't on Twitter until like way late, so.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was very late to that.
All right, let me grab another one here. Should we do a YouTube question or iframe? I asked this question, but I think it's interesting and I feel like sharing it with you.
You asked your own question. And you're answering your own question on our 200th episode.
Let me explain. I need some time here. So the pigeonhole, to embed the pigeonhole into our website, I just whipped up an iframe and gave it a height of like 200 px. Because with like an iframe, you can have variable width, but the height of it, like essentially what I wanted was height equals however high the body of the iframe is. And that's really hard to do with an iframe, because when you go cross origin on an iframe from one domain to another domain, you can't reach into the DOM of that iframe and modify it, because that's a security issue. Like you could iframe in someone's bank account and start selecting buttons and clicking on them. So if you want to know how high the body is of an iframed document, you have to the iframe document needs to be sending that information up to the parent. And to communicate between an iframe and a parent, you need what's called post message. And a lot of things like Zendesk and all these like web apps that integrate via an iframe, but it looks seamless. That's how they work, is that they're constantly checking for a height change in the body. And then they send that data up to post message. And then on the parent website, you catch that data, and then you set the style attribute of the iframe to be that high. So that's just, I don't know, kind of interesting. I've definitely implemented it myself a couple times in the past, just when we've been doing that. The big one used to be with Facebook apps. Remember Facebook apps used to be iframes? I don't know if you remember that or not.
You know what? Facebook apps. I don't remember ever. Like, I'm trying to remember what I even used Facebook apps for. You know,
we did a lot of like contests, like enter, upload a photo, cutest baby, cutest puppy. Like I built a lot of those.
I never built a Facebook app, but I remember like using some of them. Yeah, that's a weird part of like the history of the web, I think.
So that is it. Post message. I thought thought I would give a little time to that, a little tasty treat to take home.
I just a little doggy bag there. You're answering your own question here. You testing your own
You got another one?
mental will. Let's do this one here. What's one thing you see devs stress out about for no reason? So what's one thing you see devs stress out about for no reason the most? AKA, what are some things that people worry about that maybe they just don't need to worry about as much or at all? Some of these things are I think, like premature performance optimization. I'm very performance minded, right? Very performance minded, small bundle sizes, fast code, get everything and test it, right? But a lot of times people are wondering about the speed of something that they're doing before they're even doing it, to the point where they don't even know. And I think pre-optimization of code that you haven't tested or haven't seen, there's the whole thing where in test-driven development, where you write some code, or you write your test, then you write your code, you get the test to pass, and then you refactor the code into something that's perfect. And I like to take that stance on performance a lot of the times, where I get something working first, then I monitor and I test its performance, I see how it handles, and then I see if I need to make any further modifications to make this code more performant, rather than starting at all right, what are the things that I have to do to hammer in performance ahead of time? Because to be honest, I think somebody asked me about my React course, like why I'm not showing use memo and use callback, the ways that people use them occasionally. And for the most part, it's like you don't need to use memo and use callback every single time that you think you might need to, because chances are memoizing can, help there, and caching those values can help. But is that something you need to worry about when you're learning the basics and learning how to become a beginner? I don't know. I think that's something that you fix when you need to fix, rather than before you need to fix.
Yeah, the one I see all the time is people stressing out about frameworks changing, or going from one framework to another, or the framework itself changing, or are things moving too fast? And the answer to always is like, honestly, if you're good at JavaScript, these things are never going to stop changing. It's always going to come out from under you. That's just the industry that we're in.
Yeah.
But if you can honestly get good at just JavaScript, then like your skills will transfer, no sweat, from one over. You spend a couple days, a week or so, take a course, just learn the ins and outs of how that framework works. You'll be able to pick it up, no problem. So don't stress out about that so much. Your job is not going to be gone if React goes away tomorrow, unless that's all you know is how to use React. And if that's the case, you're probably not writing very good React anyways.
Yeah. No, I feel yeah.
We should take a sponsor break here.
Yeah, I think so. And so one of our sponsors, I don't have a transition.
I can do it.
Let's do a sponsor break.
You know what? Shouldn't stress you out?
Yeah, what?
Sanity.
No, that's you. It was sitting right in front of you. You know what shouldn't stress you out? Managing the back-end code when you're only a front-end developer. That's why you use Sanity. It's a back-end CMS for your front-end code, and so much more. Take it away.
So we've talked about Sanity. It's called a structured content CMS. But what I really want to focus on in this ad read is the Sanity Studio. So Sanity is not this typical thing where you log in and start creating all of your content. Obviously, your front end is built in Gatsby, React, PHP, anything you want, anything that can consume data. And then your back end, the server is hosted by Sanity, but the actual interface for editing your data is called the Sanity Studio, and that's an open source app where you can also host the UI for editing it. You can host that yourself. You can bring in your own React components to yourself. And the Sanity Studio is really cool because it's not like you have to like type all of your own inputs and handle save events and things like that. The Sanity Studio includes that, and you can hook it right up to your Sanity. Where that usually goes wrong in a lot of cases is they're like, okay, that's good, but I have a special use case. But because Sanity Studio is open source, you can create your own inputs. You can create your own modules. You can create your own handlers, different ways to display the data yourself, which is pretty cool. So if you want to check it out for your next project, go to sanity.io and use the /syntax URL. So sanity.io/syntax. That's going to give you double what you normally get on the free plan. Check it out. Thanks so much to Sanity for sponsoring.
Thank you.
I've got another question here.
Whoa.
Where did it go?
Where did that question go?
I forget it. Let's see here. There is so many questions now.
I know. There's some good ones.
Let's see here. I had a really good one.
I'm going to answer a question while you're thinking. Somebody posted in the comments saying something about an advanced React Spring course. I wanted to state, because I've mentioned several times I'm going to be doing that, but like people are wondering where it is. React Spring is in beta for their new version, and I don't want to record and release it while it's still in beta. I'm going to wait for that to be released, and then I will record the course, just so that's out there. It's one of those things, just like how many times has that burned either of us, where you record something and then they slightly change it. So that's the status of that.
Sometimes I have to like delay outputting courses just to wait until something is pushed, because you don't want it to like put it out and then a day later it's out of date. My next question here is from Anonymous. Do you feel overwhelmed?
Yes.
Yes. Whenever I think
Constantly.
of writing a post, I just feel like the space is so overcrowded and I don't want to add to the clutter or overwhelm. So this is a good question. So you think about writing a blog post about something you know about. You go, there's so much out there. There's already 400 people that have done a blog post on React Suspense. Why would I do that? Or why would I make a YouTube video on something? Why would I make a course on something? And thankfully, I never feel like the space is too crowded. I'm working on a beginner JavaScript course right now. How many beginner resources are there out there? Probably 78. Right? Like there's so many out there.
Yeah.
And I continually hear from people. Nice thing about having an audience is they tell me, like, Wes, there's nothing good out there. Even there's 78 bad ones out there, or just nothing clicks with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like never underestimate the way that you can describe something, because someone might really like the way that you do it. And also just like putting another resource out there that might be the one banger that really gets it done for a lot of people. So don't feel overwhelmed at that. Just do your thing, put your head down. And like, who was it? Seth Godin. I always say this. Seth Godin has this thing, like, you put your work out there, and if people don't like it, it's not for them. And there's so many developers out there that if you think you're good at doing it, then go for it. And there's a comment on this as well. Like, there's no better feeling at finding your own blog post and solving your own answer. How many times has that happened to me? Hundreds of times. I Google something, my own Stack Overflow, my own blog post, my own Spectrum thing comes up and go, oh, I had this problem a year ago. So just simply documenting your own problems is well worth it for the community. How many times you go to a GitHub issue and see 500 thumbs up on someone's silly comment? That's because someone took the time to write a comment. Think about what would happen if you wrote a blog post about a problem that you encountered.
Totally. Yeah, there's just about like 100 times where I Google something that I've like done 100 times, but I still want to just confirm it. And then a little West Boss blog post comes up and I'm like, oh, let's click on this one. Okay. No, but for real, I think the big thing for me here is that I recorded a Redux course, I don't know, 2 years after every Redux course in the world had been made. And it was mostly because I had watched all those Redux courses and I was like, none of these things really help me understand this. They're using jargon. They're saying, Oh, you connect the reducer to the transducer into the reformer into the.
Oh yeah.
Oh
From
yeah.
Michigan, eh?
Yeah.
Got your reducers.
So like they just start throwing all these words, and when you don't know what any of those words mean, then how are you going to understand the concept? So for me, it was more about I released my Redux course because the content didn't exist in a way that I like to learn, and I made the assumption, but I think a good assumption that other people would have the same sort of issues learning those ways that I did. And I was totally right, because a lot of people tell me my Redux course really helped them understand everything because I broke it down in a different way. And chances are you have a different perspective than somebody else. And your perspective could be the key that opens that door for somebody to say, oh, now I get it. Okay. So that's really, I think, the key message there. Now, I have a question here, and this one would have gone really well, although I lost it. Where'd it go? This question would have gone really well for a Sanity ad transition. So we missed this one. It says naming conventions. How do you say sane? I stay sane with Sanity. No. How do you stay sane with your naming conventions? This is one of my favorite things. I love naming things now. I used to not like naming things, but I love it now because I've gotten...
Children.
Yes, children. Children, yes. I love naming children. No, but I love naming things in development because, like, honestly, there was a time when you get something and you say, what do I name this thing? This thing's popping up and I have no idea. And the answer to me recently, not super recently, but within the past 2 years, has become make a system for how you name things. And if you have a system for how you name things, you're never having to guess. If it's a Boolean, some sort of toggle, it's always like is open, is closed, whatever. Set closing, set open, toggle open, toggle closing. And what I do is I have this system of these set words I'm always going to use every single time for the given action. It's never going to be like change this or whatever this. It's going to be set, it's going to be toggle, it's going to be remove, not delete, whatever. But there's a set vocabulary in the words that I use to name things in the code, and it has made my life so much easier when deciding what the heck to name anything at any given point. So that's how you stay sane, is you develop a system. Now, what system? Is there guidelines for a naming system? There's some guidelines. If you look at the clean code JavaScript repo, there's definitely some naming guidelines in there. But oftentimes it's your team and your decision as to what makes the most amount of sense to you. As long as there's a system there, everyone's going to know what to name things.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. I think that's great. I've never really had an issue of that. And if I were to look at it, like maybe I have some sort of system under the hood, maybe I should try to clarify that at some point.
Yeah, I wrote like a little Notion page for like here's what I think. You
should share that. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Show notes. Link below. Smash the like button.
I don't know if I share. I don't know how like permissions work in Notion. Like if I share that single page. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Or put it in a gist or gist. Is it gist or gist?
I always say gist, but I'm iffy on that as well.
Yeah,
but because everyone hates on me for saying GIF instead of GIF. So last thing I want is to further expand that.
Next question we have from Johnny Tightlips. Ooh. Gatsby is best for static websites and Next is best for apps. That's something we said many times on the website. They're referring to us saying that a few times. How does Create React app compare with Next.js? If you were to start a Create React app without a backend, Next or CI. Oh, sorry. If you were to start a new React app with a project with a backend, would you use Next or Create React app? So Create React Create React app is your Babel, your Webpack, couple different loaders built in, ability to handle CSS. I think it does Sass now. So it's all of that stuff packed up into one. And then it gives you the ability to eject from it. And then it will give you the ability to bundle it up. So at its basics, that's what Create React app does. Whereas Next.js is more of like a server, and it has a router baked in. It has serverless functions built in. What else does it have built in? Like linking pages. I guess that's the router.
Yeah. Just like built in, it has, I mean, some of that sweet preloading, the link preloading, the automatic code bundles, just, a lot of good stuff.
All of that stuff. So whereas Create React App is just React and the tools that you need to get a React app pushed out to production. And in some cases, you need to eject from that and manage it all yourself. Whereas Next.js, you sort of like, you go at it the Next.js way. You have to code in their conventions. You have to talk about the _document.js, the app file, the pages. You have to do it in their way. And that's more convention. What's the saying? Convention over configuration. Whereas Create React App is the other way around. It's you got to configure it yourself. You got to bring in your own router. You got to do all that stuff. And for some people, they rather do that all from scratch. They can make all the decisions. For me, I much rather just use the Next.js and have it tell me where to put the files and how to do things. So what would I do? Probably Next.js. But if you're just learning React for the first time, I would probably go with Create React App so you can very easily separate what is React and what is all of this ecosystem built around it.
Yeah, that's the perfect answer. Whenever I teach React, I teach it in Create React App. But whenever I build anything, I'm not reaching for Create React App because I want that static page rendering. I want that server-side rendering. I want those kind of things. I want the benefits that come without Create React App. But Create React App is the best way to spin up, or even like a code sandbox Create React App are like the best ways to get quick up and running so that you can start learning React rather than getting bogged down in those platforms. So that's that. I mean, I think you nailed it with that answer. There's not really too much for me to add there. Yeah, those platforms are all good though. You do want to take the time to learn Next and Gatsby. I think they are dead on with making things just easy enough that the hard stuff, the stuff that we don't want to worry about, the stuff that gets in the way of perf and loading speed. I have a question that goes along with this here too. This is a really nice related one, which is how much is too much or too little magic in a framework or library? For example, a lot of folks say Laravel has too much going on under the hood or included. Meanwhile, others say React is too open-ended. Now, this is a really good question for me. I recently have released a Svelte 3 course. I released a Vue course, and I've released a React course, all of which in the beginner sort of realm here. So I think I have a handle on these different frameworks, more or less, and how much magic they have. Sorry, I keep hitting my microphone. Sorry, Adam, for the microphone hits. No good. I'm gesticulating too much here. So we have we have too many.
Gesticulating.
Yeah, that's this stuff. Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
So we have a lot of magic in Svelte, right? The compiler's taking care of a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that aren't JavaScript, even though there's a lot of stuff that is JavaScript, right? But like, there's a lot of magic going on in Svelte, and to me, it feels very, very nice to use because you don't have to write very much code to do a lot, right? Everything just sort of works. And then in React, you have to write a whole lot. Like, I remember being so annoyed with having to do like .bind to do my set states or whatever, because it's just like, why do I even need this stuff? Like, I get the technical reason why I need it, but I don't understand why I feel like I'm having to do these workarounds to get this, like, this code doesn't feel nice, even though it's working correctly or working nice. So there is these different spectrums, and I'm of the mind that as your product gets more and more elaborate, the less magic is going to be beneficial. And as your project is more and more simple, the magic is going to be better. I started level up tutorials with Meteor's front-end framework Blaze, and it was very, very simple. The API is tightly integrated. I was doing all my, this is like a neat little feature of Meteor, but I was doing all of my, I don't owe you 99 cents. You owe me.
Someone just tipped $1.99.
Thank you, Joel. So voice them on FreshBooks. That's so funny. So I'm of the mind that like when Level Up Tutorials was very small, I used so many of Meteor's magic. And then as Level Up Tutorials got more complex and I was dealing with subscriptions, I was dealing with sales, I was dealing with importing, I was dealing with different ways the API is being used in the admin section, it made more and more sense for me to remove some of that layer of magic. And there's still magic involved with Apollo and React. There's still some magic there, or magic with Next and Meteor, how I'm using it, but there's a lot less. So I like magic, but I think as a project itself grows more complex, you want to have a better handle on that complexity. And some people might look at that and say like, okay, I know this project is going to be this complex from day one, so therefore I'm going to go very little magic route out of the box. And other people, maybe they're just doing an exploration. They're doing a prototype and you just want to get into it as fast as possible. I say go full force into magic if you're doing that. That's just my outlook on it.
Yeah, I think the magic is great for getting up and running. And I even think like as long as they have the ability to get access to the lower level stuff, whether that's ejecting, whether that's access to the document in Next.js, that's totally fine. I don't think Laravel is too much magic because like there's like huge web apps built on that entirely. There's no different than just using any other PHP framework. So I don't know. You kind of have to make that decision yourself, but certainly do like some magic. Okay, let's do one more or two more. We'll see how we go. I just got one non-tech question for Wes. I follow you on Instagram. And does Kate, who's my wife, ever get tired or roll her eyes at you buying all the different stuff, especially for your cabin, or she rolls with it? So, what kind of stuff? I buy, often what I'll do is
buy some random
broken stuff. Yeah, I buy broken stuff
like Big Mouth Billy Bass. I wouldn't be surprised if you would buy Big Mouth Billy Bass.
Oh, that's a failed one of mine, actually. I once bought a Big Mouth Billy Bass, and it was broken. Like he would short out when he did "Take Me to the River." So he would sing the whole song, and then as soon as he goes "Take me to the river," it would go and then it died. So
Billy,
I said I can fix it. So I bought another Big Mouth Billy Bass that was a Santa one. And I said, I need the gear from the broken one. I'm going to put the gear in the Santa one, and then I'll have one good Big Mouth Billy Bass. And both of them, it didn't work. They were not the same gears inside. And that was a failure. And early on, my wife got annoyed when I would do that because that's a waste of money, right? I spent like $10 on 2 Big Mouth Billy Basses. And but I think now she knows that like I bought a whole bunch of these broken kids cars for my kids. And anytime I buy one of these things, it's a risk because it could just like not work totally at all. But she's learned to like, she knows like that's who I am. And I love to fix these things. And I love to just like tinker. And sometimes it means that I have to throw it in the garbage and I wasted money, but like I learned a lot about gutting a Big Mouth Billy Bass, and I learned a lot about how it works.
gutting a Big Mouth Billy Bass. Yeah.
And like my track record is pretty good. Like we have 3 wicked kids Jeeps at our cottage, and I've got like $100 into all 3 of them, and they're wicked, and the kids have so much fun. So like she's sort of learned like, okay, I need to let them have some time to tinker, and I'm trying not to waste too much money on these things, but more often than not, I'll just like buy something. If I see a good deal at a yard sale, I'll buy it and I'll flip it and make $40, and then I'll take that $40 and spend it on Big Mouth Billy Basses, and then it's kind of like slush money just to play with there.
Yeah. When I was a punk teen, I worked at Target for a long time, and I used to like go down the aisles that had those things like Big Mouth Billy Bass or like the dancing Santas or whatever, and I used to just like push all of them and run away when I was working there, and I was just like, oh man, this is going to be really annoying to who's ever working in that zone.
Cheap.
Blazing.
I have no idea.
Speaking of blazing, somebody sent, not somebody, so Courtney's sister has a son maybe 2 years older than Landon, and he sent Landon a birthday card, and it was a thank you card. He sent Landon a thank you card for his birthday present, and the thank you card is like a monster truck, and it says "Let's Blaze." And I was telling Courtney, like, you can't send that to somebody in Colorado. I feel like that has a very different connotation when you get to Colorado. Let's blaze. We're cracking up about that. So, okay, question here. I have a couple of questions here, and they both keep moving on me. Let's see. One of them, show us your office setup. So follow us on Instagram at STOLINSKI, and you are at WesBoss on Instagram. I post lots of photos of my office setup there. I know Wes can probably do that too if he wants to get some.
Yeah.
This dev
I just need
follows.
My desk is always a disaster, so I can't take like a beautiful photo because it's like always messy.
I feel like the people who post their
clean it
beautiful desks like don't work at those desks, because
No,
that's
it's
not how
funny,
it
like,
works.
we were talking the other day, like there's like this whole learning to code Instagram where there's
It's
like these
so
people
weird.
like they go through my like JavaScript 30 and they all have like 4K monitors and like you're learning to code and you have like an $8,000 setup. I'm like, I want to get into that.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, it's a weird part of Instagram, or like the posing for photos in front of my laptop. It's like, here, I'm sitting out on a park bench with my laptop. Like, you got is your like wife or your husband or your girlfriend or your boy, are they just following you around and like framing up those photos?
Yeah, it's weird. I've started posting my hot tips on Instagram, and I think that is working well. But there's this whole other like lifestyle. People are very attracted to the coding lifestyle, which it's good. Like, but like it's not. I'm not sitting on park benches or sitting on the edge of a cliff like get committing. I'm sitting here. I went to a coffee shop the other day, and I was like, someone was. Oh, I have a question for you. Someone at the coffee shop was doing a FaceTime on speakerphone.
No.
Is that allowed? No.
Yeah. You know what? I've like witnessed some major coffee shop faux pas. I saw a developer getting chewed out by his client once, just getting ripped apart for not being on deadline. I had the FaceTime thing, or people with their AirPods in, just like talking away, like having a huge long conversation. No, go outside. You can go outside. That's the polite thing to do, is to go outside. Thank God for noise canceling headphones is all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the actual last question. That was like a little not actual last question. Actual last question here is, how long do you think it will take before we can use Suspense for data loading with libraries other than Relay? I really like this question. I wanted to make sure it got asked in this. Yeah, I think the answer is hopefully not very long. And I think we're seeing that already. I mentioned in this episode once SWR, which is a library from Zeit. You'll want to check out. I can post a link here in the chat. This is a really cool library, and this is gives you the ability to use Suspense with something other than Relay. Now, what I'm most excited for is whatever the Apollo team does with Suspense. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that looks like, if it looks any different, or if it's just basically looking very similar to the same. I really don't know, but the space is open right now, and I think we're going to see a lot of innovation around data loading in general within React. So, I would think seeing as at the speed at which this library came out from Zeit, I think by the end of this year, you'll definitely see a few more things pop up. Into early next year, you're going to see more stuff. I think Apollo Client 3 just got announced, even though it didn't say anything about Suspense, but I think they're probably hard at work on some sort of solution.
I did a talk on Suspense over a year ago, and like they've been working hard on it. So everybody knows exactly like what the whole point of it is. So I'm excited to see it come out. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's funny. Some of the times I'm like reading some of these threads about like the problems Suspense solves, and I say, hey, I don't know if these are Facebook problems specifically, or if these are problems that an app like mine could have. And then like just yesterday, I had like one specific component that was like driving me nuts, that I would have been like, I'd prefer if this component would load last. Really prefer if this and that's Suspense gives you some of those controls that we may not have had of like component order or data even order of in which it loads or things like that.
Yeah, so I would imagine we'll see in next 10, we'll see a deprecation of get initial props, which is the special method they put on all of their classes in order to fetch data, but you have to do it at a page level. I think we'll see that go away, and we'll have Suspense come in and save the day there.
Yeah, cool. Well, there's lots more questions, but we could be here for hours if we tried to answer all of them. I'm so sorry.
Well, let us know if you like this sort of like live version of a podcast, and maybe we'll do another one for episode 1000.
Maybe I think this wasn't too bad once we got it set up, and apologize for any sort of technical difficulties at the front end of this, but we don't do this very often, so that's how it goes.
Shout out to Marco and Joel for giving us tips in the chat. Scott owes me $3 now.
Yeah, we can just chop that off of whatever you owe me for the sponsorship. So
there we go. All right. Sick picks today. I am going to sick pick the world's best windshield wiper blades.
Whoa. Windshield wiper blades.
Windshield wiper. So I hate it when the windshield wiper leaves a streak on it. And because of that, I used to replace my windshield wipers like every couple months because they would always go bad. And one day I decided to buy some good ones, and they're kind of expensive, and they're the Bosch windshield wiper blades. And we've had them on our car for 2 years now, and they're still perfect streak or streak free. They're really well. They go through. They handle ice no problem, which is a problem in Canada. And it's such a
not if you're a hockey. It's not a problem if you're a hockey player.
There you go. It's just one of these things where you don't have to worry about it anymore, and it's just a good product overall. And then I follow this YouTube channel called Project Farm, where he tests everything: windshield wiper blades, batteries, adhesives, random things like that. And he tested windshield wiper blades, and I was like, oh man, I hope the Bosch win. And they did. They were by far the best blades that they tested. So if you want some good blades, Bosch.
Team X blades over here. No, Bosch. I'll have to look them up. I'll have to check out. I actually probably do need new windshield wipers. It's one of those things that you're you don't realize that they've gotten bad until you're just oh yeah, these are terrible. So maybe I gotta do something about this. I got a sick pick today for those of you who've liked some of my podcast picks. This is going to be right in line with some of the more popular podcast picks that I've done, such as Darknet Diaries, Swindled. What's one that is very similar to this? This one's definitely a prolonged story rather than little miniature stories. But this podcast has been absolutely fascinating. Oh, it reminds me of the Dream, the multi-level marketing one in some sort of way. So this podcast is called The Missing Crypto Queen. And this is about, it's from BBC Sounds. And it's one of those, NPR style productions, whatever. That's just a very good production. But this is basically about OneCoin. OneCoin, I believe, is the coin. And it is about a crypto coin that was just a huge scam. I mean, some of them are, yeah. It was a huge scam. And basically this woman who's actually very, very smart, was getting on the cover of Forbes and stuff. And she was, hailed as the next crypto queen. And turns out the whole thing was a scam. They, at some point in the very after it was already being used by thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people, they were reaching out to developers to say, hey, can you build us a blockchain? And they're like, wait, I thought you guys are buying or already selling coin. How you don't even have a blockchain? And so they just started lying about everything. And it is substantial. And what's crazy is it's a huge cult. It's very cultish. And unfortunately, they've moved into lower economic situations where they're pulling money from people who don't have it and swindling them out of their money. And it's absolutely horrifying. So give it a listen. And if you know anybody who's investing in this coin, tell them to stop it, because it is a huge, huge scam. And I've found this podcast to be utterly fascinating and totally, just totally horrifying. There's a huge mystery component to it because this person has disappeared and she's undergone plastic surgery and she's hiding out and they're trying to find her. So it's it's just it's a thriller. It's good. So check it out. The Missing Crypto Queen.
All right. Shameless plugs. I'm going to plug my upcoming course, which is beginnerjavascript.com. And I will have more details about that very shortly. I'm really excited to get it launched. It's going to be a banger. So get ready.
When is it? When
he's dying.
It's live. You got to do it live. Okay. This episode's coming on the 27th, which means that my next course, will be approaching its release. And that course is going to be on React and TypeScript. I'm going to be showing you React and TypeScript patterns. We recently rewrote the entire front end of Level Up Tutorials, thanks to the Epic Life in the chat for working really hard on a lot of that right now. And so we recently worked really hard to get TypeScript all up. We did the API a little bit ago, and now we're doing the front end of the site. And it is, I really love it. I get it. I get why people talk about TypeScript and, evangelize for it. I don't want to say I ignored it for too long, but I definitely really understand and appreciate the benefits of TypeScript within a React website. Right now, I used to think can I just do all that with prop types and default props? And it's so much better when you write a component and that component has a little squiggly underline that says, hey, you're missing this required prop. Say, oh, yeah, this is missing this required prop. And I think it's already opened up a couple of bugs that we were having on the site where they were strings were changing into numbers and numbers were changing into strings and just sort of magically. And it really gave me a handle on some of that stuff I didn't really even realize was going on. So check it out. It's going to be on leveluptutorials.com/pro. Sign up for the year and save 25%. So check it out. Oh, it's the 27th. Do you know what that means? Hey, what does that mean?
Black Friday.
Black Friday. So by the time you are listening to this, the Level Up Black Friday deal will be on. You can get 50% off of the yearly subscription.
Yeah, I'll have mine up as well. I always do half off as well. So check out all of my courses, westboss.com/courses. We're getting that sweet Black Friday deals.
Yeah, those deals. Got to get those deals. So yeah, sign up for the year, save 50%. Leveluptutorials.com/pro. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. That was really fun. Thank you so much for making 200 episodes happen. I think it's really cool that we get to do this podcast. And we will catch you on Monday.
Peace.
Peace.